elected me to continue to challenge this administration.
Listen here, sweetheart. We're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison.
Breaking news coming into the Situation Room right now. The U.S. Justice Department is opening an investigation into the New York Attorney General Letitia James's office.
And so I'm covered by the blood, and I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. You can come after me, but no enemy, nothing formed against me will perish. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me.
Ma'am, if the weapons don't perish, that means they're still out here clocking in every day, clocking in on your behind. Nah, I don't think you want the weapons formed against you to keep on living their best life. That'll mean the weapons are still hanging around. That's the plot twist you don't want. Well, Letitia James, she said no weapon formed against her shall perish, and I guess she's getting what she asked for. They're not perishing. Those weapons are indeed prospering.
The Attorney General who took down Trump just got subpoenaed by the DOJ. Letitia James, the New York Attorney General who made her name going after Trump in that civil fraud case, now has the Department of Justice knocking on her door. They subpoenaed her over how that case was handled. Now let's think about that for just a second. The same justice system she used to take a political opponent out of the game is now questioning whether she crossed the line. If this was a movie, I guess we could say it's poetic justice. But in real life, it's a sign of something bigger. It's a system where the players change, but the weapons, they just stay the same. And sooner or later, it's aimed at the other side. So tell me, is this accountability or just another round of political revenge?
Honestly, I think it's both. First of all, bringing charges against a former president of the United States, like Letitia did, was just unheard of. It was a move she campaigned on, talking about the people of New York voted for her to go after Trump. I guess that's why when the Robert Brooks case came across her desk, and others like it, as a so-called black woman, she had no concern about injustices against black people. Nah, she was more concerned with fighting for Asians and immigrants, and fighting against Trump while refusing to fight for black people at all. And now to turn around and be accused of the same thing? That's wild. It's just like I said about Fannie Willis. They let these people hype them up, hand them the baton, and told them to run after Trump with everything they had. Meanwhile, they sat back watching you crash out as all of your own skeletons tumbled out your closet. And here's the thing, those same people who pushed you into the fight, they'll leave you hanging when the heat turns up. So I definitely believe it's revenge, calculated payback. But I also believe it's accountability. Because to be the AG accusing other people of fraud, while you've been committing fraud yourself for decades, that's crazy work.
Sources tell CBS News the Department of Justice issued 2 subpoenas to the office of New York Attorney General Letitia James. It comes more than a year after James won a civil fraud case against President Trump for hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's bring in CBS News Justice reporter Jake Rosen for much more on this investigation. Jake, thanks for joining us. What is the latest about this subpoena and what are they for?
Well, that's right, Mughal. We already knew that Letitia James was under investigation for alleged mortgage fraud. We reported that back in May when the Department of Justice and Trump administration launched this investigation led by the FBI into that aspect of James's personal dealings. Now the Department of Justice has made it about her, specifically about her going after President Trump and his allies. As you just mentioned, the investigation, the civil lawsuit that resulted in $355 million fine, that has then been appealed. We really have not heard from an appeals court on that for a long time. That doesn't mean President Trump has forgotten about it. And the Department of Justice is opening an investigation. A grand jury has been convened in that case to potentially go after her for potentially violating President Trump's legal rights in that investigation. You'll remember it was about the Trump organization, President Trump and his children, and how they handled and ran that organization in which they were convicted in a civil way of fraud. Also, at the same time, the National Rifle Association, which has long been in Letitia James's crosshairs as she leads all legals going on from the state level in New York, the investigation by the Department of Justice is also going into them as well. So there have been 2 subpoenas, both specifically about her handling of this. And you'll remember James did went after the NRA successfully at first to get kind of the corporate death penalty, to punish them for a number of things, including fraud, and that has since been appealed as well.
And Jake, you touched on my next question earlier, but we know there's a history between President Trump, and James. Can you break some of that down for us? Because it just certainly seems like it's not over yet. And now that Trump is in office, here the Justice Department is going after James.
And this is why mainstream media will continue to fail. Just listen how they're setting up this whole story. It's been over 2 minutes, which is forever on a program like this, and not once did they mention the mortgage fraud that Letitia James is being accused of, or any of the details of those allegations. From lying about her primary residence under oath in legal documents, misrepresenting a Virginia home as her primary despite being an elected official based in New York, all to get better loan terms. That's mortgage fraud. And not once did they mention the properties in Brooklyn that she's been lying about since the early 2000s. She's been committing fraud there too. And of course, they didn't say a word about her historically lying on documents, listing herself as her father's wife to commit fraud. Like, how low and dirty do you have to be to go around lying on legal documents saying your father is your husband? They don't want to talk about that. This is supposed to be a legitimate news company. You know, the one we're supposed to trust to get all our information from. And look how they're presenting this story. The only thing they keep saying over and over is she's being targeted. Okay, yeah, she's definitely being targeted. Like, duh. Now, what are the allegations? What did she do? Tell people the full story. Because if she was completely clean, how is she being exposed as this city girl scammer? I mean, she told them folks her daddy was her husband. Like, really?
Yeah, and President Trump has made no secret in both his first administration and since then into now and these current going on when he has a Department of Justice that is willing to launch these kinds of investigations into people like Letitia James, who made no secret about her willingness to open and eventually go after the Trump organization and President Trump for the fraud that they had committed. At the same time, President Trump had been calling it a witch hunt. He testified in that case in front of her, calling her that, and then would go out and talk to the press about it. He pledged to go after people like her, calling her and a number of other people leaders of this witch hunt that was against him. And it hasn't slowed down. And think about the number of people, Chris Krebs, Miles Taylor, a number of other high-profile people who took legal steps or came out against him to call him out, who have been retaliated against in some form of another. This is yet the latest development in Letitia James' case, as the Department of Justice has now expanded their investigation to not just go after her personally, but to go after her office and the investigations that have been launched.
Yeah, certainly seems to be a pattern on that one. Jake Rosen, thank you so much for your reporting.
Horrible reporting, by the way, because again, all they repeated the whole time was they're going after her. Okay, obviously there's an investigation. Why didn't you speak on the fraud at all? You know, make the public aware of the New York AG presenting herself as her father's wife for years to commit bank fraud. See, this is exactly why people don't look to y'all for information anymore. If you only tell people they're coming for Letitia James, you're going to lead folks to believe that it's baseless and she didn't actually commit real crimes when she's an OG city girl at this point, been getting away with fraud for years. And my thing is, if she knew her paperwork wasn't clean, when the Democrats put the battery in her back to go after Trump, she should have told them straight up, nah, y'all do it. You notice they used 2 black women to go after Trump, Letitia James and Fannie Willis. They took all the heat, while the rest of them sat back with their hands clean. The people that's supposed to be on their side obviously set them up. And like idiots, they allowed themselves to be used. Yeah, they got Letitia James to go out and do what they wouldn't do. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Tell me what you think about this mess below. I want to thank everybody who supported this channel. You can show your support as well. The link to PayPal is below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to like and share.